Hey everybody, Brian Gallagher, physical therapist from Meg Academy and Meg Business Management, back again for a episode on communication. And I wanted to share with you the art of communication. And I know as a physical therapist, and many of you have been through physical therapy school or in private practice or looking to go into private practice, you're thinking it's all about the skills, the clinicians, training, marketing, messaging, right? All that. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the secret sauce, the ingredient to the secret sauce is the art of communication. It really is. And so if you haven't been listening to the podcast, please go to the podcast, Physical Therapy Private Practice Secrets of the Top 10%. I know I talk a little fast here, but I go into this in greater detail over multiple episodes. I talk about the 4 types of owners. It would be helpful for you to check that out, look at the types of owners and identify which one you are so you can refine and hone your skills and develop your ability to bring about agreement with others. And that's what I'm talking about with communication. With anything that you do in life, there is a product you're looking to walk away with. There's a product you're looking to achieve, which is why you're doing it, right? If I'm going to tear down the engine in my car and rebuild it, it's because I want to have a strong, solid motor that's not going to break down and give me the horsepower I'm looking for. That's the product I'm looking for, which is why I'm willing to go through that teardown. If you're looking to have a work-life balance existence as a practice owner in private practice that gives you success, which I define as the balance between flexibility and stability, with massive flexibility and massive stability that equals freedom. So if you build a practice where you have flexibility within that practice, but you have economic stability coming to you in exchange for what you built, you've achieved a level of freedom. To what degree depends on to what size and what magnitude you're willing to go. So more, bigger, greater level of exchange, more moving parts affords you greater degrees of freedom. None of that is possible without you mastering communication. Communication is the universal solvent to all problems, bar none. Every problem you've ever had with your spouse, upset, anger, whatever, is because there's been a break in your communication with them. Either they're thinking something other than what you're thinking, or they're not in the mood to be, putting you first, and they're thinking about others and other things or themselves. So there's not a whole lot of affection there or fondness going on at that moment in time. These things get in the way, right? But most importantly, the lack of just saying what needs to be said, the lack of confronting is really the ingredient that breaks down the communication. Because communication, if well done, means I've said what needed to be said, you've received it, then you've thought about it and you've understood it, you've duplicated it, I've given you the time to think about it, and then you reciprocate back with a thought, an analytical thought, an idea about it, a response to it, which shows me that my communication was received. Whenever my communication goes out with my wife and myself, which happens on a routine basis, is because we're moving too fast. We're not granting each other enough time to really think about what the other person's trying to say. We're already putting our preconceived ideas in. We have to clean it up because we're dubbing in and we're not listening. We're not thinking about, well, what are they actually trying to say? I think I know what they're trying to say and I'm dubbing it in, or she's dubbing it in. And now we're spending all this time trying to clean it up. Not good communication, total waste of time. It requires a ton of explanation. I know when explanation is required that communication is not doing well. And I'm trying to work on that. I'm sure she's trying to work on that. I'm sure you're trying to work on that because you have multiple people you're trying to deal with at a small, finite period of time when you're running a business. You've got to master your art of communication. So here's my steps. Here's my lesson plan for you based on that. If communication's end product is to bring about agreement, bringing two parties in agreement, because you can't manage over disagreement, right? You know that, right? Like everybody knows that. You can't manage over disagreement. So by ignoring somebody who's oh man, I don't want to go talk to Sally. She's already on edge. Look, man, if you're feeling like you're walking on eggshells in your own practice around your own people, you have a big problem. And you should go and confront that big problem, because this is your practice, your show. You're the dude running the series here. You better get it clear that everybody here needs to get in line with what the company culture is, the philosophy, the purpose, and you're all about exchange and abundance both ways. If somebody's got a bugaboo, you better handle it. It's because of you that you're walking on eggshells, not because of her or him or whomever. It's because you're allowing that. So you better go confront that and handle that. So here's my steps, right? I feel like I'm at a big lecture here. I really want your comments. I really want your feedback below on how this goes. But here's how you build it up. Here's how you can be really good at it. Number one, start studying how to confront. Not confrontation, but how to say what needs to be said while remaining comfortable in your own skin. Get comfortable telling somebody something they may not want to hear, and stop wearing their condition. Stop looking at yourself giving this communication to somebody and thinking what they're thinking. Stop that. Let the chips fall where the chips fall. You know what, John? I know you're asking for this Friday off, but unfortunately we're fully booked with patients. There's no way I can get off. I have no coverage. If had you given a week notice on that per the policy, I think we could have done something, but honestly, I can't work it out. I'm going to have to deny your request for time off. And you're thinking, oh, John's going to stomp away, be really upset. Not if you deliver it right. Not if you deliver it like that. Like, hey, there's nothing I can do. I looked at it. It's just impossible. I'm sorry that's not going to work for you, and there's going to be a little bit of a disappointment there. But if we can approach this better next time, get the advance notice in, I'm sure we can work it out. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good... So confronting others, saying what needs to be said while always in manners. Step one. Number two, communicate clear and concise. Don't give a lot of explanation. Don't give a ton of justification. The more you get into that, the conversation's going to get off into the weeds. So number one, communicate with high confront. Say what needs to be said while in good manners. Number two, don't give a ton of justification, explanation. Don't get off into the weeds. You're going to cause more problems. Number three, make sure there's duplication before communication continues. Get evidence that they're nodding their head, they're okay. You question, so what did I mean by that? So what did you hear? Make sure that they can give you duplication of what needs to be said, right? And last but not least, ask for their response, their feedback. Don't take mum as an answer. So what do you have to say about that? Like, how's that sit with you? What are your feelings on that? I've asked people, what do you think you should be paid? Where are you in this ballpark idea of compensation, right? At least I know where they stand. I know what I'm dealing with, right? So feel free to ask questions and just get that information. But then make sure that at that point, now that you've done those four elements, you've achieved a level of understanding. They understand who you are, what you're trying to say. You understand where they are, what they're thinking, what their position is. Now that you have understanding, work toward agreement. Okay, good. I understand where you're coming from. I can see why you might see it that way. Let me share with you a little bit more data as to why I'm thinking we're going to have to go in this direction. We're going to have to go the blue line, not the green line, and here's my reasoning why. But at least they know where you're coming from at that point. So that's my message in this episode. I hope you really get it. Communication is the universal solvent to all problems. Think about that. It really is. Think about how often you're talking in your head while someone else is talking to you and you're not really listening. Slow things down, listen, and then give them back duplication on what they said. I try to be good at it every day. I'm not always I fall short, but I try to get better each and every day, and I find the biggest mistake and the biggest reason why communication falls out is because you're not giving the moment the time. You're thinking about other things. You got too many other things randomly going in your head. You're not focusing the time in that very moment on what's being said. You're not granting that other person the beingness, the respect they need to have effective communication. So start there. Start with those things. I think you're going to run a better practice, and hopefully this will trickle over to happiness at home as well as at work. So expect to do well every day. This is one that you can really take with you that I think is going to give you some immediate results. I hope you guys enjoy it. Check out our website. Give me some comments. Like and subscribe. It really helps me to help more people. I'm always interested in your feedback. Take care, everybody.